Jostle, jostle.
Jostle, jostle. Oh, right. I've clicked the go live button. I think it's time.
We should be live. Let's find out. This is always the most professional way to start anything we do.
It is. Hopefully you can hear me cough and you can hear Jan scratch.
Let's find out if I can hear things. Yep, we have sounds.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Monday. Mikey is mostly better, so he might make some noises and die.
Or a white screen.
What are you doing?
I'm opening the Google
Doc. You see, this is why we shouldn't plan things.
Not on Google Doc. Ow. Yes, I know there's dark modes, add-ons. I don't have it on this thing, but my eyes hurt now.
Hang on, I seem to be too high. Let me...
Oh, dear. Right. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
That was a great start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2023, or as we like to say around here, Die 2022 Die. Mikey, how are you feeling? You've been.
I've been through the mill.
Bad.
Is that the saying? I don't know. So,
hello, Daniel.
Hey, we're in sync.
Oh yeah.
The internet must be good today. Oh yeah. So in November, I got kids go back to school. They bring sniffles back. November kind of hit me with a bad cold. No worries. Okay, congested. I can't record for a bit of a cough afterwards. Still do some recording and stuff. And then December came round, and there must have been some. It definitely wasn't COVID. And I want to say thank you for everybody. Hi, Roderick. I want to say thank you to everybody going. I hope you're all right. I was all right. Mentally, I was like in a happy place, but my body was dead.
You weren't so much in a happy place as you were like
delirious on drugs. I don't
know. You were loopy.
Pain relief. So by December, I was completely whacked, and Christmas.
You were like me on those meds I was taking last year.
Possibly.
You were sleeping like 16 hours a day.
Yeah. So Christmas Day, I was awake for 3 hours, 1 in the afternoon and 2 really late in the evening. But I did have Christmas dinner the next day. So there is that bonus in the 5 hours I was awake. It was really weird. It felt like I was getting better and better. And then suddenly, maybe I overdid it one day and wham, freight train, and I was completely out.
Because we had plans to like hang out and play a game and do something, and then between us, we'd just be completely unable to organize anything.
Wouldn't stop.
My girlfriend sent surprise Christmas presents for me and the cats to your house, and we just haven't managed to find a way to make that happen.
As you can probably tell,
before I see the presents.
As you can probably tell, I am feeling better. I will admit that I've had an extra 3-hour nap today. So there's still like an energy not quite there thing, but yeah, it was really weird. It just kept going. You feel better now. And on New Year's Eve, we went, "Hey, Happy New Year!" As we went over midnight, as you do. Wife said, "Are you coming to bed?" I went, "Oh, I've got a bit of it feels like a bit of a bunged up here. I'm gonna go take some decongestant and..."
One moment.
Yep.
Trigger warning: grossness approaching.
I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna do the full story.
You did the full story to me. I was like, I've just eaten.
Lovely. Anyway, and it just got progressively worse. And by 5 a.m., I was in absolute agony, and I've been on antibiotics for a week. Which is fun. Anybody who's taken antibiotics?
Give the clean version. I had to hear all kinds of details.
Maybe we will divulge those later on in the stream, so everybody doesn't go nope.
They're for like special backers. It'd be a lifetime stream.
Yeah. Why not? Private video.
So yeah,
is there an OnlyFans for that? Anyway,
I mean, Rule 34. If you can imagine it, there's porn for it on the internet.
I never mentioned porn, but
you mentioned OnlyFans.
I don't know what that's about. I presume it's a special fan platform.
So welcome. In this video, I'll be talking to my token vanilla friend, Michael Bridges.
What are you, the strawberry?
Sure. I'm like chocolate swirl. It's fine. Moving on from ice cream flavors. It's been quite a dramatic years, but Michael is slowly getting better. I wasn't able to hear his voice at all until like the 3rd of the year, because you tried calling me. It was like, blah.
Yeah. I've really been through the mill, but yeah, I'm getting there now. And so this evening we want to. It's going to be a bit all over the place because we've missed you guys. We've been poorly and busy over the holidays, so we just want to give you all an update on where we are with the various projects we've got going on. That's
And
good.
what we've been
That's like
doing.
the primary thing, and then we'll hang out, chill, and if you've got any questions, as always, you can fire them away in the chat. Have we said to people that we're live? Because people like us doing that over on the Discord.
Oh, the other people. No, we haven't. Would you like me to do that?
Yes, please. I
Okay.
daren't touch a button right now.
Which button dare you touch?
Any of them, because the first thing I did was close the stream.
I
Then
won't
went
do
to
an at everyone because 2 at everyone's in one channel in one day is a bit mean.
do an at here. At here.
It's exactly the same, but all right, I'll do that here. Michael, maybe do it. Video evidence. You all saw it.
Only if they're subscribed to the channel. I don't know how to do that on Discord, so I really don't know how to use Discord.
I don't think Discord knows how to use Discord.
Maybe.
I've been having weird problems with Discord recently. Like, it kept muting the volume and then hiding the volume controls in my sound properties.
Discord's weird with its notifications. I don't know if you guys find this, but when you're using Discord and it goes brrrung, and you're like,
or random fun new ringtone you never asked for.
oh, what channel has just notified me? And I know you've got the inbox thing at the top, but that doesn't always show me if someone's atted me in a... I don't know. I get so confused so quickly with it. I just want to know the thing that went Bing. What was it? Don't use Bing.
That feels like the subtitle of some kind of game.
The thing.
We'll put it in one of the courses. Bing. The thing that goes Bing.
That could be one of the...
That could be the first thing in Godot for everyone. It's just a button. You press it, it goes Bing. There you go. That's a game.
It's a tech demo.
It's
for a game.
Tech demo. It's a thing that goes Bing.
It could have like a dramatic the thing that goes Bing.
Maybe John Carpenter's thing that goes Bing. John Carpenter's The Thing does Bing Crosby impressions. That's what the game is.
Right. Jan and I have had like a 30-second pre-show discussion that laughing is going to kill me, so please be careful. And I do apologize if I don't get out of the way for a cough and RIP
I mean, I just
headphone
get the thing,
users.
Daniel, where I'm expecting calls and Discord doesn't notify me, and I'll just randomly check it. And people have like sent me things saying, "Are you okay? I thought we were chatting. Are you okay? Seriously, just let me know you're okay." Like, I've been sitting here waiting for your call.
Yeah, I've got another computer in the room that rings. My one doesn't. It's really, really odd hearing a ringtone from over there that I know I need to answer on this machine.
Yep. So that's a random little complaint about
Discord
notifications. I actually do quite like Discord in general. Please don't kick us off. But
Daniel
sometimes...
says that's why I leave every server after getting my fix. I actually get that. I have left a few servers because some of them are pinging all the time, and
I've got a few that give nightly notifications.
It's like I know you can mute them, but
this kind of thing in a year. Like,
I've tried muting them, and they still come up as notification icons. I'm like, have you got special privileges to still notify me when I've said no?
Well, no, the mute means you don't get the sound and the pop-up.
But I still end up with 214. Like it feels like you've got to answer messages like an inbox or something.
Is that what you do with inboxes?
Sometimes.
Suddenly all becomes clear. No laughing. No, it's dangerous. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this.
Good. I am glad that other people suffer. it makes me feel
Please
better.
put that on your business card. Michael Bridges, I'm glad that other people suffer.
The same as me, yes. What? You didn't get the full part? You didn't print the full thing. Damn it.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm glad that it's not just me that has Discord woes. It is annoying as...
Overall, it's a great piece of software.
It's one of the best.
When you rely on it and it doesn't do exactly what you expect, it's very confusing. Much like any other piece of software.
Yeah.
Michael, you have a list of things to talk about that I can't be bothered to open. What's next?
Action RPG update. That's
Action
one
RPG
we still get questions about this. I want this section of the live stream, so Adam, when you're editing, so we can reference this and just point at it if anybody's got any, recent questions. We'll probably have another one in a bit.
Just give you a clip. Jan pointing at things.
Put some metal music over it or something.
To pointing. What?
Sorry. Good evening, Months. How are you
Hey,
doing?
it's a good time to join us.
What's Mike doing?
The Action RPG project status as of January 2022. Michael, would you like to take over the blendery
Yeah, the
sound
blenders.
bits, and I'll do the Godot bits.
So I've actually had quite a bit of time whilst I've been poorly and unable to vocalize stuff, and when I'm awake, I've been playing around with the audio part. So one of the promises from the Kickstarter is having some game audio. I've got several tracks put together so far. I'm going through the polishing stage at the moment, and so I'm looking to get at least the first one of three. What would you call them? Album soundtracks. We're going to be three in total, and they're each going to have a slightly different theme. One of the things I didn't want to do is create three soundtracks, all kind of medieval RPG. Did want to go into that trope, so we're going to have one that is like that because why not? And it's a lot of fun trying to make ye oldie music in. And I did the ye deliberately, but ye oldie music in a kind of more modern take. But then I know it winds him up, that's why I do it. But
we'll talk about why in a second.
But there's going to be a couple of other ones as well. So there's going to be more energetic soundtracks, and I'm not sure what the third one is going to be genre-wise at the moment. But they're all going to be based upon the same theme. So thematically, you could actually put them all together. They'll have the same ideas and motifs in the background, but of different genres. So that's the music. Over to you.
Music. Meanwhile, on the Godot, I'm still waiting for Godot 4 to be a little bit closer to or at launch before I start committing. And one of the main reasons for that is seeing what plugins are available, because it makes a big difference. Like, are we able to use a behavior tree plugin, or do we have to write it from scratch? Are we going to be able to use the multi-mesh plugin that we were using in Godot 3, the scatter plugin for all the trees and things? There's ways we can work around that, but it'd be nice to have those in there. I've also been playing a lot with Godot 4's navigation system, trying to get the NPCs to move in fancy ways.
Didn't it have an update recently?
Well, so the original "This is how it's going to work" was written in, I think, February 2020, and it was really cool. But so much has changed since then that it doesn't actually work. You have to tweak it. It's not massive tweaks, but you have to sort of play with it and see what the parameters actually do. So what I did was I tried a little battle tactics style grid, and I got a bunch of bunch of characters, and I said, all of you go for this point with collision avoidance, and then watched as they all got stuck on corners.
Nice. Which
they know are there, and they should be avoiding, but they're just getting stuck. And then watch as, like, I'm within 20 meters of that character over there, so I'd better stop, and they will just stop. Like, okay, so I need to understand these parameters better before I can teach it, because that's a really frustrating experience to walk through a course. However, the visuals are looking fantastic. We have played with the visuals for the Godot 4 thing before, and I'm really looking forward to the stage at which Mikey can give us the new models and hopefully animations at the same time. I don't know what the plan is with that, as in what the time difference is between models and animation, because then we can really start making things looking beautiful.
Brilliant. I am just going to open up one of the things that I've been working on in the background. I've just got to find where it is. I'm opening Blender. That's not going to crash anything.
He's pressing buttons.
I don't know where I put stuff, so entertain people whilst I find the thing. Please.
Oh, me. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was something you people. Oh, Danny boy. No, I don't know the lyrics to that one. Okay, so what else we talk about? Jelly. Hi, the big red button from Mikey. Everyone needs a big friendly red button.
I think I found it. Okay, so I just want to show people some of the assets. So we've got a dungeon asset pack, and I've been playing around with that, adding to it, making sure that we've got...
Oh yeah, one of the big things we're having to do with the asset pack as well, just on the back of this, is when we originally made it, it's like, well, they're not going to be textured, so we don't need to UV map anything. And then you bring them into Godot, they don't work, because the new lighting system requires a UV map. So
and so rather than just doing a smart UV project, I am actually unwrapping things semi-properly, so that if people want to add like a texture to them, it should work.
But it's
Not guaranteed because they're still meant to be. Now I've just clicked go render, so hopefully the stream doesn't have a moment. Which is the button for my screen? Main screen? There we go.
I don't know.
So hopefully you'll see that in a moment. So this is obviously a render in Blender. And one of the things, that's not me. There we go. This is a render in Blender with
Nice.
sort of a dark scene. I'm going to come out of that now. And we've got loads. I've been working on the stonework and pillars. And as you can see, there's going to be lots and lots of variation for floor pieces. And one of the things when it comes to putting all the assets together is we won't be in a position where you've got. Let's change this to be that color.
Is that a bearskin rug?
There, no, it's me playing around with tessellation of parts and seeing what we can put together and what doesn't
That is
work
so
together.
a bearskin rug. You're not fooling anybody, Bridges.
Okay, it's a bearskin rug. But yeah, there's a load.
Killed a teddy bear.
Splat. A load of different parts. You can see some wooden posts in the background. Now, this is actually going to be part of the assets course itself, where we actually start putting things together. And this is one of the main focuses on of the course itself, is to make all the components you need to build the bigger set pieces. You wouldn't give necessarily all of these small pieces to the person in the game engine. They might be available so they can add a few bits to the world.
I mean, unless you're doing a level editor, but that's not within the scope of the project.
No, exactly. So this is all about just making the base parts, which then you can, and I grabbed one of these doors. Let's go back to this view. I popped them in a little scene like this. And whilst this isn't like Godot 4 rendering engine, this is obviously Blender. But because it does real-world lighting, you can see that if we add a normal map to the very top and a roughness map, we can get sort of these reflections. And I'm really wanting to try this out in Godot as well, to see if we can actually get that, maybe not this fidelity as such, but this kind of effect where you can have rooms lit really dimly as well, perhaps.
Oh yeah, no, I think they'll look really well. It actually looks very similar to the new Godot 4 rendering style. The one thing I might do is turn down the reflection nature of the floor, but that's more a sort of gameplay choice rather than...
I did that to show off, and I posted it on a couple of groups, and they're like, I really like the floor, and I'm like, I didn't do anything to the floor. I literally put some squares down and
I mean, my only problem with the floor is it looks like Aria's going to spend the entire time shouting at skeletons for trying to look up her skirt. It doesn't look practical, but it looks very pretty.
Very true. I'm just going to shut that down so it's not taking up resources. So yeah,
weird off-topic one. One of the AI thingies that can be used for asset idea generator. Yeah, go to GPT and type in some ideas for modular dungeon parts, and it'll give you a thesis on unicorns.
I don't think AI is going to exist in our courses for a while as of yet.
I mean, there's behavior tree stuff for the NPCs, but that's pretty low level.
No, my issue with the whole image generation, and I love the idea of the tool, so don't get me wrong with what the tool can possibly be, but the way that it's actually stealing other people's art and then generating art from it, that's the legality that I don't like. And why a lot of people have...
They didn't get permissions and all
and they scraped a load of sites, etc. So yeah, I like the AI tool that I forget its name at the moment. Perhaps someone can find it. Oh, Spectre's just mentioned. There's a texture tool. There are two texture tools. One will create a texture as, you type rotten wooden floor, and it will generate a tiled texture for a rotten wooden floor, which is really, really useful.
I mean, as Backup says, for a starting point, it's a great idea. Like here's a reference image to use as a start, not as final image.
There's also another AI tool where you can like you build like a blockwork sort of blocks of a town or a city, and then you say this is a medieval town, and it will texture it accordingly. And the more detail you've got in there, the more it can infer and actually generate textures for it. No, own training data. I think you need the dust to settle on what is legally going to be
I mean,
Right.
it's
With
very
commercial
mechanical.
stuff. That's the other thing, of course. If we're going to do something, it's either got to be in the fair use domain or it's got to be something else because we're going to be
I mean,
a corporate entity doing something
the
with it.
procedural generation for the weapons stuff you did is pretty cool. Not quite AI, but the
No.
procedural generation is sort of in the same kind of ballpark.
Well,
It's just
well,
very
a great
simple.
example there is you could buy 6 different weapon packs, deconstruct them and put them in their own collections, and
Mm.
generate a load of weapons from those existing weapon packs. So there's value to be had, not just because you're creating the assets, but because you can put them together in a different order. And that's one of the things that why I didn't spend much, if any, time in the course modeling pieces, because that wasn't the focus of the course. The focus was actually the putting it together and being able to generate a random selection of weapons and export them in only a couple of clicks, which is super, super useful.
Yep. And as you're saying that, there's a bunch of cool things I could see for like, not for this project, but for a project like this with expansions and so on. Not necessarily paid DLC, depending on how you want to do it, where the player can unlock a bunch of possible weapon parts that will show up, or a bunch of possible clothing parts that will show up as part of the generation system.
Yeah. Procedural generation in general. And you could, I suppose, in the future, potentially use AI to scatter objects across a level intelligently. So you don't have to program this deep algorithm. It knows this type of room, therefore it should have items in, and then you could have very not unique but different rooms each time, because it starts to become obvious even in games that have big budgets when you get the repetition of certain rooms.
Mm.
I know that the way that we're doing our dungeons, there will be similarity between all the rooms because you have to have fixed positions for certain things.
It reminds me. Okay, I'm going a little off script here. This is something we're going to talk about later. But when we were playing Gotham Knights has now added this 1 to 4 player system where you go into a dungeon and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper levels. And each level is slightly more challenging. And once you've unlocked one level, you can always come back to it. You can't get to level 10 until you finish level 9. All the way back.
Yeah.
And the first few times you play it, it's like, oh, these new traps, these new hidden bits, and all the rest of it. And then you realize these are, in fact, they're not even procedurally generated. They're just modular. So once you've seen that module is the same every time.
Yeah.
So you go into this bit, and it's like, oh, it's the little bit where you have to shoot the fuse box, shoot the fuse box, all the fire goes out, get those 2 crates. Don't forget, on your way out, come around the corner, there's another crate under there.
Yes. And
it gets very repetitive very quickly.
In some ways, that sort of thing, yes, it gets repetitive, but also it gives the player an anchor, especially if they think they're in a new space. Having some familiarity is often a good thing as well. Yes, it was Stable Diffusion based, by the way, the add-on. I've got it on my list of videos to create. I've just been poorly, so I've not been able to touch it, unfortunately.
I don't know what live stream plugin you've got, Spectre, but it sounds amazing. So yeah, it's the repetition. I'd like pattern, right? I can't listen to jazz without getting very uncomfortable. But you also want to feel like every level isn't the same level. I don't think Gotham Knights does do that, but you certainly fall into the pattern and you recognize the same assets every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's next on the doohickey? Ow.
Well, we've did you touch on the Godot stuff for the RPG? Yes, you did.
Ooh.
And then I jumped in with Blender. Cool. Should we talk about discovering Godot 2 or Godot for everyone?
We'll talk about Godot for everyone. We're going to talk about discovering Godot 2 because that's not a thing I'm making.
That's what I was saying. Discovering Godot 2, or as it's actually known, Godot for everyone, because I forgot the name.
Godot for everyone. I mean, I've been playing around with the early courses we've been looking at. I don't think I do want to make the entire thing classic arcade games. Like I like the idea of the first few being things like a Space Invader style game, a Snake style game, whatever. Maybe a Frogger one. But I do want to branch out into more interesting stuff. I'd like to see Cube 2 Kickabout come back. In fact, we have Tuki Kickabout as a prototype. It's looking good. But still, it's just waiting for the features to stop being added and tweaked and coming in. Part of me is wondering, I'm still trying to play around with what is the first game.
It's
Because when we
it's
did
always a
Discovering Everyone,
challenge.
we had that Looney Lips thing, which is basically a Mad Libs style game. And the advantage of that is we don't have to worry about moving characters across screen. We can just deal with the basics of what it is and end
Yeah.
up with something that's fun to play. It's not really a game, but it's something we can have fun with. And I'd like to do something like that before we start diving in, but it might be worth just diving straight in with Space Invaders.
It's
I don't
always
know.
a challenge when at the beginning of any course that's meant for beginners is how do we make it exciting without losing people? Because when you've been coding or modeling for years and years and years, you get to this point where is this still beginner friendly? It's simple and easy for me, but it's
I mean,
it's
there's
it's
there's
it's
a few things
challenging.
going on there, right? Like on the one hand, we need it beginner friendly. We need to part of the design brief for this course is it's for everyone. Everyone should be able to start it up, having never done coding before, and at least get the basic understanding. But that means the first few sections are going to be very, very basic, very, very slow. What is a variable? What is a function?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, right? Which for a lot of people is simply not interesting because they've done that, right? It's like, okay, show me what's different. So that's one of the reasons that we like doing these big courses as modular courses now,
Yeah.
where you can buy the entire course or you can just buy the modules you want. And that's what's happening with the Discovering Blender, Blender for Everyone, the Blender RPG.
I'm gonna have to go
Help.
domain grabbing at this point.
I forgot the name of the Blender course. My brain doesn't work.
Just carry on.
It's the Carry On Blender course. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, matron.
Oh dear. I'm lightheaded. Why we like doing the modular ones because you can sort of pick and choose. There is still value in doing the basic one, but you don't have to, right? You could just say, okay, I know how to do that bit. I don't really need to know how to move a character left, right, up, down. What is this character class? How do I use the navigation agent and the avoidance collision? What is an obstacle? Right, what's this plugin called Navigation Obstacle 3D? How does it work? That's the kind of stuff you probably want to jump in. So you just move to the first thing that has it in there. Part of me wants to do something like Heistmeisters, but I don't want to do Heistmeisters again. I did it with the board game course, and then I did it with Discovering Godot. They were different games, but I reused the same concept.
Yeah.
But a stealth game is fun. Top down is fun. So I don't know.
Of course,
I also
with
might have to go back and redo some of the graphics I did with Libra Sprite.
one of the things I was thinking is with Godot's new lighting engine, actually looking at that again, but using the more detailed lighting engine might actually be a compelling enough reason to just redo the game, but actually with a more emphasis maybe on the stealth and having light and dark, a bit like the early versions and probably the later versions of Splinter Cell, where you would be in the darkness, you would be invisible, and when you came out, you would be very much visible. It can be binary like that. Of course, Thief was a great one for being in pitch blackness, especially when I remember playing Thief 2, and I was in a doorway, and I made a noise, and the guard literally was like, I smell someone, and they were like right up in your face like that. It was nuts.
What I like about those early Warren Spector games is, from what I can tell, almost every single one of them was almost an abject disaster until the last minute. Like no one was enjoying it, and then they were like, "No, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this." It worked.
I mean,
everything is Godot.
Have you played any of the Thief games in any recent time?
Do you mean have I played any of the remake Thief games?
Not the remake, the actual originals.
No.
So they definitely suffer from like old school control system. The number of times I've tried to replay it and I've made a noise because controls rather than actually being an umpty.
Fighting a control system is always fun. I mean, we were having a chat off stream a few days back about The Long Dark, and I don't know what it is about that game. I'm always able to set how many hours I want to sleep for and then pick up my bedroll rather than go to sleep every time. I like sometimes 3 or 4 times in a row. which when you're like dying of exhaustion is really not that much fun.
Yeah, and it was interesting because that's the same game that I think I picked up. It was on Game Pass, so I picked it up, and it looked really interesting. And the first scene after you've gone through the tutorial and everything, the plane has crashed. You've
What
basically
tutorial? Oh, you played the story mode?
yes.
No, I didn't.
So I literally had all the firewood around me and a cave, and I knew that I had to collect the firewood and make a fire to survive the night. Not a difficult thing to do. I died 3 times because I couldn't pick anything up because the controls, even though I've been taught the control system, that's not the control system I'm so used to for picking
You will
stuff
get
up.
to expressing E.
Yeah, E or F. I don't know, press F in chats because Mike died 3 times. I wish I was streaming it because it would, or at least recording it, because it would have been a great example of when control systems go wrong or when the assumptions of players ruin your game.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Where did we get to? We're not on control systems yet. I've talked about that a lot recently. Where were we on the Godot Forever?
Yeah.
Pacos just raised an interesting point. The thing about something like Space Invaders is it's infinitely expandable, right? You can make it really slick, but that's not what the project is, right? The project is here's the beginnings of the game. Here's how you could expand it. Same with the brick game. What's it called? Arkanoid.
Arkanoid, yeah, the bouncy thing, you break stuff, yeah.
Spooky bricks, right? A single level is fine. Maybe put a second level in so it can show how to transfer between levels, depending on where it is in the course. But once you've got the basics, you should be able to make your version of this game.
I mean, it is actually one of the fundamental problems we suffer when trying to do larger projects, larger games, larger models or whatever, is the fact that there will always be some repetition. And there comes a point where your actual main game loop is done. The repetition now comes from making additional levels. And in a course, it's difficult to do 10 levels without doing the same stuff 10 times. And that's not valuable.
Also one of the advantages/disadvantages of online courses, right? If we were in a room together and we were making a big project, whether it's a college thing or a summer camp or whatever it is, right? We could have one big project that we're working on, and that iteration is now part of that teaching process.
Yeah.
But we can't realistically give you feedback on each piece of iteration, each iteration of the iteration. So you're just repeating yourself. Like that's not actually a learning journey.
Yeah.
Jelly, I managed to play a game of The Long Dark where I actually died of hypothermia, and I didn't realize what would happen as my character would start just wandering around, like unable to control himself, like just veering off and veering back drunkenly, which is great because I just managed to light a fire and he immediately ran away from it and then ran through the fire, giving himself serious burns while dying of hypothermia.
Oh, the irony. Oh dear, that is rather special. That's a special case of dying.
But yeah, I'd also like to do some nice 3D games in Godot for everyone. I mean, we have Cube Dude, well, Tuki kick about because we're not doing Cube Dude. There's probably some other fun ones we could do.
And because we're also gaining through both the RPG and other things that we're doing, we're gaining a series of assets that we can start to use without worry. One of the big issues with assets is we can use Kenny assets. They're a great example. Or
Absolutely.
I'm going to say Copernicus. That's not his name. What is it?
Quaternius.
Something along those lines. They've got some brilliant assets. We'd like to have some of our own. And of course, one of the issues is we cannot supply assets to people. That's often even against the terms and services of a lot of free assets. You can't just redistribute them. You've got to link.
Well, those two you can.
Like those ones you can. Yes,
Kenny, absolutely you can. But just looking, Quaternius has some fun new stuff actually.
Yes.
But the advantage of doing it for our stuff is, you know, you get the course, you get these assets. You can also buy a bigger asset pack if you want.
They fit together properly.
They fit together properly. It's better for, I mean, from a very sort of Yiki perspective, it's good for brand recognition. Like our stuff starts looking the same and being recognized by our stuff. It's also more fun. We get to have characters like Tuki and Avery and Annie Bunny, and what was the name of the other one I put in? I have to.
I can't remember the name.
not spooky books. Oh, my brain.
Tukey
So
Bubble?
the last no, Tuki Kickabout. The last 5 days, I've not managed a full night's sleep. I don't know what's happening. Oh, I don't need the alphas, I need the betas.
Oh, looking something up.
But like last night, I had 4 hours sleep. Night before, I had 3 hours sleep. I just keep waking up. I know what it is for some of it. My next door neighbors, who are just on the other side of my bedroom wall, went away for a week.
Oh,
But they
nice.
forgot to turn their alarm clock off, and it was set for 5 a.m.
And of course, it doesn't go off. That it like stops after an hour or something.
An hour of beep beep buzz buzz beep beep buzz buzz beep beep, and like I'm trying to keep my sense of humor with it, but after a while, I just want to sleep.
Oh,
Meanwhile, there's my
dear.
cat on me going, "Oh, is it time for food?"
I hear a food alarm.
Yeah. Warn you when your 3D prints are going. I'd rather the sleep if we have the option.
Yeah, be
But
nice.
I do appreciate you looking out.
That's actually one thing that I'm really looking forward to. So over
That's
the past,
its name.
What?
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. So this is from
Okay, we can see it. It will go dark for people for a bit. Don't worry. Low poly. you 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 were you were talking to me about pins, and I think you've left it in the state when you were trying to show me something. Yeah, the lighting is much better. Hey, they're quite the ears.
Yep.
Quite the ears. So
yeah, like I'm really looking forward to getting started on
Yep.
that, but it's not quite in the position where I'm happy with it yet.
again, waiting for Godot 4 to just not to just stop changing, because they keep doing some major. They're doing some big pushes now, obviously getting ready for the final launch. And the problem with big pushes is things actually change.
I mean, there's some things where like we removed this, but people were still referring it to a code, so we've put it back. Like some of it's just feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roderick, I really like the names, and part of it is so we can have Tukey and Boris and Legit Penguin and Space Duck and Low Poly
Legit.
in lots of games, right? And if we have the asset packs where we're like, here's the 2D version of all those characters, here's the 3D version.
Yeah.
If I'm making a Space Duck game, a Space Invade Duck game, and it's got Legit Penguin and Space Duck, but you'd rather have other characters, you could
can
just
pick
switch
them.
them out.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
That'd be pretty awesome. Excuse me. Apologies for the coughing. It happens.
Oh, by the way, 3D text is one of my favorite nodes in Godot 4 now. Like it's a new mesh type. So you don't have to do what you used to do, which is make a plane, put the text in, have the plane always face the right way, make it sync up because
It
it's actually
exists in the world along
it's
with
actual
everything
3D
else.
text. Yeah.
In fact, the pill-shaped icons reminded me a bit of tactics, which is something we wanted to discuss as well.
Yep.
So we now actually have a Steam thingy.
We do have a Steam thingy. We have our own Steam account.
Which is what we were an authorized one, ready to put a game up on.
Right. A Steam Workshop account.
Yes,
so
that's
we
the
can
one.
actually put our own game
I never
up.
remember the name.
Which is good for development because there's only so much you could do with the free Steam Workshop test development because everyone is using it and you can't find anything. and they seem to be using it for weird chat purposes. It's weird. So I started playing with it and bringing everything through, and it's going to be a colossal project. Like, this is not a small project. Almost every line of code will need to be rewritten. Different code structures, exports are all different. Animations aren't the same. Yada yada yada. And then the next version of Godot came out, and Godot, the Godot Steam application needed to be re-downloaded and wasn't ready yet. So I might wait until Godot 4's been released. Wait till there's a stable Godot 4 Steam, which is, I mean, fair play on getting the updates out as quickly as they do, and then start like transferring the stuff across and remaking it. Part of me wonders if we should do rigged animation for the tactics, or if we should just keep the ones we have now with the sort of animated.
Yeah, but there are lots of options. The main purpose of tactics at the moment is for us to get a game through the entire process and onto the marketplace, so that so we can actually talk more about the process itself. Obviously, there are some NDA stuff that I'm sorry, that's just whether you do Microsoft Store, PlayStation, or anything else. Nintendo,
yeah, I'm not expecting this to be like the big money maker. Now we don't have to make educational videos anymore. I'm a game developer now. I'm going to cash my stuff in with Microsoft and move to Florida. Like, I'm not Marcus Pearson. But it's a fun new direction. It's a fun new project. It's something we've talked about a lot.
Yes, and just going through the entire process from beginning to end I mean, we know most of it in theory, but we want to go through and actually do the, I suppose, put your money where your mouth is. Actually develop a game and put it on the Steam store.
Especially when you're dealing with like online multiplayer. Like, there's one thing saying this is how online multiplayer works. So like, okay, if I'm actually going to release this to the public,
it has to
let's
work.
make sure no one can cheat.
Yeah.
Let's make this secure. Let's,
Well, at least as a beginning level, because people are clever. They'll find a way to cheat.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the state of tactics. Nothing's changed from the gameplay that we've showed before. We didn't get anything set up to show you today. Maybe Adam can pull from the archive some tic-tac footage for the clips.
No.
Tactic.
And had to be very careful with that.
Edit that and move it back in.
I mean, I could
Fine.
bring up what we've got, but I don't have Steam running, so probably not a great idea.
Yeah.
But for those of you who don't know, Battle Tactics is designed as a sort of Silver Age superhero, pill-shaped Super Bomberman multiplayer with lots of weird superhero, supervillain levels, like the supervillain lab with the giant death robot, or the rooftop with the giant tactics symbol, or the alien city, and there was a couple of others. The disco, because clearly got to do that. I'd like the disco because when you walked on the floor, it would light up.
I did like the disco.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play. It was almost stable, and then it was like, okay, we kind of need to wait until we've got this. The next stage is we're going to have to get our own Steam Workshop.
It was definitely
and once that's done, so falls almost out, we may as well.
Yeah, it was stable-ish, and then we started implementing the Steam API, and it started falling apart. Yes.
I don't know. TikTok's never refreshed my breath.
I spent a good year abusing the teenagers in my house with Tic Tac rather than Tip Top Tick.
Weird thing to say on camera.
They all like TikTok, and I was like, "Oh, have you got a good Tic Tac to show me today?" They're like, "Mike, shut up." I like Tic Tacs. They're funny little videos.
Yep. So yeah, Battle Tactics is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the music. Mikey kept going like, "I'll write you some music." I'm like, no, I like this music. I'll write you some music, but I like it. I'll write you some music.
Hint, hint.
I mean, the best bit about it was just unlocking costume parts.
Yeah. What else have we got? We've done Godot 4. We've done Tactics Blender. So all the new stuff with the Blender Creative Suite that's coming out will be in Blender 3.4 and onwards. And one of the things that I'm really glad about is simulation. So there's kind of the traditional physics system in Blender, which is meh. There's the new fluid system that they've got in there that isn't going to last. I can't Manta Flow is what it's called at the moment, and it's okay for those really short things. So like you would use like a particle effect to go spoo, or something along
Right.
those lines for short things. If you try and do a fluid simulation with it, now the thing with a simulation is on a computer, its initial conditions, whatever happens, should result in the same result. Blender doesn't do that, so you can end up setting everything up, having all the initial conditions the same, running a test and it looking okay, doing a full render or baking a simulation, and it looking completely trash afterwards. And it's like, well,
Mm.
and it, I don't know what's going on in the background, but excitingly, simulation nodes have started to appear now
Oh, nice.
in Blender, so you can actually start doing simulations that work, are predictable, and so I'm really looking forward to diving into that with everybody. Obviously, it'll be at a beginner's level. It won't be creating Niagara Falls or anything along those lines, but it is a great start into understanding simulations. And a lot of the simulations can also be used as like VFX as well, which is
Mhm.
brilliant. Once you've
Very
got the
cool.
basics under there, you can just change a few parameters, and you've got a completely different effect.
We have a question from Jonathan,
Whoop.
which is any idea how long it will take to launch? And I believe he's talking about Godot for itself. The short answer is no. The long answer is they're getting very close. It's a lot more stable than it was. We're now on beta 10, I believe.
I can import assets and it not crash as much.
It's still not entirely perfect, but I mean, I'm not on the development team for God of 4. I can't give you that answer, but
Yeah.
I would say in the next couple of months. Um, how long before the new God of 4 content comes out? Once it's out and it's stable enough that I can start recording, I can start doing that. Yeah, I'm on it.
For the bot.
There we go.
There we go.
And high
Hey,
user on this channel. Yeah.
lovely.
I feel like our courses are not the best place to make a data online. That's going to be very weird science.
Very much. Bot be gone.
Bot be gone. Hello, Lucy. Good to see you. It's just creepy. Like, don't make dates in computers. It's the dark side of otaku. Otaku? It's been a long time since I spoke Japanese.
I have
I'm gonna go look at him and
no
saying Ichinan
idea.
Kaikyu bin Kyoshimashita.
Konnichiwa?
Close enough. It's one of the only phrases in Japanese I can still say fluently, which is actually I don't understand much Japanese. I only studied for a year and a half. The other one is I'm a stupid foreigner, which is one of the most useful phrases in any language because there are people all over the planet who thinks everyone from other countries must be stupid. So it gets you out of all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, when's Godot 4 coming out? Soon.
Yeah.
Like he said he'd be here. He said he'd be here tomorrow. Sorry, that's way.
Yeah, as soon as we know that sort of thing, then we can start putting together timelines on.
But you can download the betas right now
Yeah.
and play with them, and they do look fantastic. Not all the documentation's in place yet.
That's probably going to be something ongoing as well. If Godot 3 was anything to go by, some of the documentation unfortunately said, if you know how to use this feature, could you write the documentation?
No documentation for this. Would you like to write some? Like, no, that's why I was looking it up.
Help!
But yeah, I just like the way it feels and the way it looks. And I like making stuff. And we should really have our own jam at some point.
Yes.
But now I want to make marmalade jokes. What's next on the agenda, Michael? I'm not opening the thing. I can't be bothered.
Some good closing stuff. What have we been playing? What have we been watching? What have we been reading? What's our best snack? What have we been listening to? How much is that doggy in the window? And who would win a fight? The Wiggles or the Teletubbies?
I was writing the agenda and I got bored.
Sleepy.
They're very sleepy.
That's
Teletubbies would totally win.
So we were having this discussion earlier, totally professional.
I like how we're actually doing this.
What is the scale of a Teletubby? Because I always thought the Hoover was about small family car size, which would make Teletubbies huge.
Yeah, no, I thought that they were toddler sized. But I still think they'd win because the moment they finish the beatdown, one of them would go, again, and they just do it all over again.
I'd have to concede I did watch one episode of Teletubbies, and of course, the answer
See,
is
I was an
twice.
undergrad, and most of my classmates were very stoned, so I had to sit through a lot of Teletubbies.
The interesting one with this Teletubbies was it was a blues thing, and so they had blues music playing throughout, and I loved it. I was watching with my. I wasn't watching for me. I was with my very young child at the time. Honest, thanks.
Chin you wreck on.
Yes.
We have a good question here from Gavin.
Yes.
Will the old courses be updated for Godot 4 or new ones released? I would prefer the older ones be preserved if possible. The older ones will absolutely be preserved. If you've bought the course, we're not just going to say, okay, we're done with this now, bye. So if you have one of our Godot 3 courses, you have one of our Godot 3 courses. You have access. Oh my god, a 3-meter tall Teletubby.
Does sound pretty intimidating.
Telekaiju.
It's almost like the Marshmallow Man.
We don't have immediate plans to update the existing Godot 3 stuff into Godot 4.
Sometimes that wouldn't actually be possible. I'll throw that in there straight away. So one of the things I had when remastering a Blender 2.7 to 2.8 course, obviously this is going back a couple of years now, but one of the things is you couldn't do a 1-to-1 match. Things were missing.
This is the thing, right? In fact, Gavin points out the Unity course from another provider was updated in the middle of the course, the new version, which means you have to start over. That's not the plan. If we do that, it would be a second course, and potentially there's nothing planned about this, but if we did it, this is how I'd be happiest. Let's say we redid, I don't know, Tukanaban, right? The Sokoban game with Tuki.
Yeah.
Not that difficult to do. But if you've already bought it in Godot 3, you have access to it in Godot 3, and here's the free version in Godot 4. If you don't have it in Godot 3, you can buy it in Godot 4. If you really want to buy it in Godot 3, you can. You can still download Godot 3. But that's the idea. We don't want to remove any content. We don't want to remove access, and we certainly don't want to say, okay, stop what you're doing. Here's the brand new shiny. Let's start over.
Yeah, I know some people replace courses to preserve review ratings and things like that, so they always remain in the same position on certain platforms. We've got our own platform. We're not going to be doing that. We won't move things around in those ways. So,
and now I'm picturing 40-foot Teletubbies terrorizing.
40 foot. Okay, so we are going to Ghostbusters.
We're going full kaiju.
No, Ghostbusters. They're just like the Marshmallow Man's children.
I think the Marshmallow Man might have been a kaiju.
Bless you. I don't know what that means.
Gojira.
Konnichiwa?
Giant animal monsters that eat cities. Godzilla.
Oh, Godzilla.
Mothra.
You lost me again.
Sometimes I forget how much younger you are than me.
I'm but a baby. A bearded baby.
Yeah. Like, I was an undergrad when the Teletubbies came out. I'm old. I'm starting to feel it too. Like, I saw my GP about an unrelated issue, and he was like, man, your size should be really taking more medicine than that. Like, yeah, you keep mentioning that. It's like, have you considered doing exercise? I know you don't like it. Actually, I love exercise. I used to go to the gym for an hour and a half a day, 6 days a week, but I'm in too much pain. I can't do it. Well, you should exercise to stop being in pain. I'm not in pain because I'm overweight. I'm overweight because I'm in pain. No, you should do some yoga.
Yes, sometimes recommendations don't work. I know people with joint problems, and doing things like yoga and light exercise is incredibly dangerous for them. They can cause themselves serious injuries. And heavy weightlifting's an absolute no-no.
I can't close my fist without guaranteeing it's not going to hurt.
It's Tinky Winky now the Hulk.
Yes. I was responding to Jelly.
Is this if Marvel did Teletubbies? Which one's the purple one? Becomes Thanos.
No.
Comes in with a golden glove.
A Nintendo Power Glove.
Hulky Winky. Smash, smash. One of them's got to now be called Smash, Smash.
Rage Fest. Poe. Poe.
That's the one. And thank you for joining us this evening.
Oh,
welcome.
I was a professor, I have a master's in education.
We're masters at
Um,
something, that's for sure.
well, Masters of Science and Theatre Education, but it is still Masters of Science of Education.
Mm.
Mikey, what have you been playing apart from
I've played whilst
being
poorly.
sick?
Yeah. Dying Light 2. I finally bought it. So I've been saying ever since its release, I was like, I really want to play this because I really like the original game, and I said I'm not going to buy it unless it's less than £30. And at one point, the Steam sale got it down to like £30 and 24p, and I just went, nope, not. But then it was $29.99. I was like, yep, why not? And so yeah, it's very interesting. So for those who don't know, Dying Light or Dying Light 2 are both open world parkour zombie things, and you've got
Parkour zombies sound terrifying.
yeah, and it's interesting because there's a lot to not like about the second version, and it's interesting because it's far more accessible. The first version of Dying Light, nighttime, you just didn't do it unless you were proper hardcore. Nighttime's pretty easy in Dying Light 2. But there are a couple of things that really opened my eyes, because one of my complaints about Oblivion back in the day was the fact that everything leveled up with you, so you never felt truly powerful. Everything around you was always the same sort of challenge level, which I get. It keeps the game progressive, keeps you challenged. I got to this point in Dying Light 2, and I did it in Shadow of Mordor as well. I tend to explore these open worlds, and I do the side quests. So I was leveling up much higher than the level of any of the actual main quest. So I got to this point where you'd enter like part of the game. You have to pick up these things called inhibitors, and they basically increase your stats, and then you can unlock things and upgrade your abilities.
Inhibitors unlock your inhibitions.
Yeah, basically, so you could do more. Why not? It makes you more immune to the virus because you have it and everything else. So, and there's these zones called quarantine zones that you can go into at night to gather more inhibitors. And there's also what they call a GRE anomaly, which is like a super zombie that looks like a complete mess. You don't want to mess with it. And when you enter the zone at night where you've got to fight them, suddenly the boss battle music comes on. No, that's Doctor Who. But it comes on. But I'd already unlocked one of the highest level weapons in the game, which actually levels up damage with you, a crossbow. So I would paraglide into this danger zone, land, and it'd go dun 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 dun, and I'd just go pew, and it would go and I was like, no, well, that's challenging.
Sound effects that really make that game, I have to say.
But I was like, this is supposed to be challenging. This is the one part of the game that they should level up with you, so it's always a challenge. No. And so, unfortunately, I was fully leveled about halfway through the game. And
I mean, you and I have spoken about this before. My theory that we should stop using levels in game design. Because there are other ways of making the decision interesting and having progression. Yeah. Like, you've unlocked a certain number of skills, items, whatever it is, but you can only carry so many. So use whatever combination you want, but...
Yeah, and I've got no problem whatsoever with having part of the level be a complete no-go. You try and go in there, there's no way you're doing it at a lower ability level. And I'm quite happy with there being areas like on the city streets in the daytime, all the zombies being cakewalk when you're a higher level. That would feel good. But it just wasn't that. I was indestructible. I mean, it was a great power trip, but it kind of got a bit, well, there's no challenge here because I can drop in and go.
I was playing Gotham Knights and I did all the side quests first, and then went back to the main quest. My character's busy telling me how terrifying these things are. I'm like, not so much.
Yeah, and perhaps that's the issue. Game developers want their games to be big, so they fill this large open world. Which I was actually quite surprised the size of the map in Dying Light 2. But you've got this huge, massive world that they want to fill with content for players to do. There were a lot of side quests that were really just fetch quests. Run over here, would you? Fair enough, whatever. But they would level you up. And because I liked just exploring the world and doing this, perhaps there's a way of doing that doesn't impact the main storyline. I don't know. Gamers are going to play a game how they want to play it. And it turns out that my way of playing open world games can ruin the actual main quest of the game.
I mean, I feel like levels as a game mechanic has that problem inherently in it. It's the same in you playing pen and paper games. One of my favorite pen and paper games, Numenera, in fact, all the Cypher System games, Numenera runs on the Cypher
Yeah.
System. There's only about 3 levels, but your character isn't powerful because of the levels. They're powerful because of the one-shot pieces of gear that you find throughout the world that have special effects.
Yeah.
And the idea is to encourage the players to always be using these things. So your character's always fresh, always new, always doing cool stuff, but you don't have that weird power creep.
That was interesting. There was an interesting thing about weapons. Weapons were leveled as well, so you'd have seemingly 2 axes next to one another. One would do 80 damage, and one would do 200 damage. It's like, surely the damage comes from the person wielding it, not the weapon. But you do end up, if you explore at all, you end up having to empty your inventory all the time because you're going to carry 24 of these weapons. Most of them are trash because you will keep the 2 top ones. And that's it.
I mean, I'm
It's
terrible with
interesting.
things like that anyway. Like games that have health potions, I end up hoarding all the health potions and never using them.
I remember vividly, and this is going back, the original Half-Life. You get a few high-powered weapons towards the end of the game, and I didn't touch them because I was like, there must be like a really dangerous boss coming up, and then you get to this point where you're picking up ammo for the weapon that you're not using, and then you can't pick up anymore, and you're like, well, perhaps I should be using it. And I've recently started. I like zombies. And zombies and space are my 2 great things. I've recently started playing The Last of Us 2, and I've
Zombies in space.
there we go. And one of the things that I do is I try not to use the guns. There's a downside of using guns. You attract the attention of everybody in the little zone that you're in. But also, ammo's rare. I turned around to my wife and said, I should be playing this on a harder difficulty setting. I keep finding ammo and I can't store it. I'm like, why can I only carry 16 rounds of a gun ammo? It's not even 1 full clip.
I mean, it depends on the gun. I'm not really a gun person.
Rifle ammo, you can carry 9 bullets and that's it. I mean, it's obviously for game balance.
They're big bullets.
It's obviously, game balance. Yeah.
They're shells.
It's a howitzer round. Boom. So, yeah. You know, I understand it's for balance, but also it seems a bit absurd because you've also got a friend that you're like a companion that sometimes will help you, which is brilliant because it happens really naturally. Sometimes
BioShock Infinite was
doesn't.
the worst for that. The woman that you were supposed to be protecting, who was completely invulnerable and would help you at all times, and also was super powered and could open gates to other dimensions.
Why are you helping?
You're fine. I'm holding you back.
You seem like the protagonist here. What am I doing here?
Yeah, like you are clearly spending your entire time pulling me out of trouble. You're fine. Go do the thing. We are at the hour, so
awesome.
I feel like we should do the traditional thing.
Yes.
Do you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments, interpretive dances, and jingles?
And Jelly's just said, if you see Mikey with a rocket launcher, stand to the side as he may have it backwards.
And it may be a stealth mission.
There are stealth rockets. I thought.
It sounds like the lyric of your new country song. I was very impressed by how much hype is generated by the new Payday 3 trailer, considering that it's a static image being zoomed in on slowly.
It's like, this isn't in-game footage. This is like Adobe After Effects or something.
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, but let's remember they could still mess this up.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of I'm just going to open Steam for a second. There's a game on my wish list. Surprise, surprise! It's a zombie game, and it actually looks like an incredible tech demo as to what they've got so far, but it also doesn't seem to be real. It seems to be like set scenes and everything, rather than a fully fledged game. So I think it might just fall on its face. I think it's called The Day After or something along those lines, but I'm just going to check real quick. The day before, in fact, not the day after.
Yeah.
So the day before, it looks really, really awesome. It's due to release in March, and I personally think it's going to bomb massively, just because it doesn't. There's not enough support around. Not support from like a community, but support from like what's going on in the background. It looks amazing, but it looks amazing in a very narrow line. It looks,
Right.
if that makes sense.
It does.
Couple of games I am looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to Homeworld 3.
Right?
Yeah, love the Homeworld. Homeworld 2,
I
the control system.
Loved Homeworld 2, although the control system was bad.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the first 2 levels of the unofficial Homeworld 3. So
deserts. Yeah, Desert of Karak or
but then I
something
got
like that.
bored. Yeah. Hello, Bit. Unfortunately, we're about to go. But you could rewind and watch the whole thing again. It was good to see you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's not really pinged my radar. There's a few games I'm looking forward to, but my mind's gone blank because I'm hungry. I should eat something.
Hum num num.
Nom nom nom. Hello, Des.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Almost back on full stride. Yep.
Now, before we do go, we should talk about the next few weeks, because I will not be able to stream next week, and I will not be able to stream on the 7th of February, 6th of February, because I shall be in an airplane. I might be able to stream in the middle. We don't know yet. This is an airplane from Duck.
If the wings are doing that,
I'm fine with it.
Fasten your safety belt.
It's probably just a steampunk plane.
That'll be amazing.
You might have Mikey by himself, or maybe we'll do reruns. I don't know.
We'll work something out over
show.
the next couple of weeks. Yes. If Yang can connect to the internet stably, then we shall give that a go.
I mean, I can't do that here.
You never know. It might be Better's internet away. But yes, we'll work something out over the next couple of weeks. But we could be up to a month without a live stream.
Could be.
But we'll fill you in the meantime anyway as we go through. But thank you everybody for joining us this evening.
Thank you everybody for having for being lovely and wonderful guests and wiping your feet as you came in. It was lovely to see everybody. Yeah, we missed the Christmas co-op stream. We wanted to do one, but Mikey was dying.
Big time. Yes, and there are two new levels.
3 hours,
yeah, there are 2 new levels to Human Fall Flat. So perhaps we can schedule a.
I mean, I'll be on my laptop.
That's fine. I'm just going to pull you off the cliff anyway.
I don't know that it'll run it.
Well, we can see. It's barely an excuse.
But yeah, we should do co-op plays. We actually talked about that this morning. Yeah. But yeah, I need to go get some food. So thank you for joining us. Hope you had a lovely time. He's been Michael.
Bye.
Thanks. Thank you so much for that. That was amazing. Bye. Press it.
Bye, everybody.
Press
Thank
it.
you.
Press it.